warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Putri Farisha Ariana. I am 12 years old and I am studying in Srk Lok Yuk Likas. I'll be introducing to you today about 5 books. The first book is Friendship Zone. The author of this book is Thomas Yap. And this book is about Gavin and Joel. Gavin was the top one badminton and skateboard player on that high school. And he was always number one until one day Joel transferred to Gavin's school and Joel was also a skateboard and a badminton player. After that, time flies as Joel starting to get higher and higher and higher scores than Gavin until he was number one in badminton and skateboard. Gavin was furious, and then, starting from that day, he decided to bully Joel every day, and he would always beat up Joel and talk bad about him. Until one day, Gavin followed Joel home because he wanted to see Joel's home. He wanted to bully Joel that day at his home, but he was surprised to see Joel stepping his foot in the orphanage, and he realized what he did, and he started to think maybe Joel was an orphan. And the next day he apologized to Joel and said sorry, and they became good friends after that. The moral of the story here is always treat people with kindness no matter who they are. And that is the first book. Now the second book is about Friends with Differences. The author of this book is always also Thomas Yap. This book is about Graham. Graham, who is a boy who loves system and technology. Even his family is called the Systems family. He would always be busy working on his systems or organizing himself. One day there was a new boy who came to his school, and he decided to talk to that boy, and that surprisingly they became friends after, and the boy made Graham's life really interesting and happier. The moral of the story here is you can always build a friendship with, even though you have different interests, as long as you be nice to each other. The next book is Reunited Clover, and the author of this book is Emilia. This book is about Siobhan. Siobhan got separated by her family when she was only 6 years old. This book is quite sad, and she came up with the journey idea to find her family. Along her journey, she put it up with a lot of hard challenges, but she never gave up in finding her family, and one day she happily found her family and they live happily ever after. More of the story here is to never give up in finding your happiness. Okay, that is the third book. Now this is the fourth book. This book is about the small black box, and the writer of this is Victoria. This book is about a girl named Jess. Jess is a little 12-year-old girl who felt abandoned by her parents because the parents never showed Jess any kind of love or attention. Then one day, Mrs. Twitch gave her a small black box that can turn her into anything she liked, and she already turned herself to all of the things, but she never gotten attention from her parents. And then at last, she turned herself into a glass jar, and she woke up to find herself injured and her parents taking care of her. For the first time, they paid attention to her and cared for her. The moral of the story here is to never always push yourself to be perfect for people to love you. Now that is the fourth book. Now the lastly of the book is about Jack Ridley. The title of this book is The Curse of Jack Ridley. It's by Audrey. This book is about Jack. Jack loves to steal, and he lives with his abusive father. The villagers hate him and call him the cursed child because his mother died after giving birth to him. He loves to steal things, and one day he he actually came across a pond. The pond has a coin inside the pond. He picked up the pond without thinking that the coin was cursed. And he was suddenly cursed, and the coin suddenly disappeared from his hand. A spirit came behind the pond and told him that if that he picked up a cursed coin, and if a human didn't find the coin and put it back to the pond, he will be a spirit ghost forever. And he was crying, but there was no use. Time flies as Jack grew older. Suddenly one day, a little boy named Ryan, his personality is the same as Jack, and he came across the pond and he found a coin onto the floor. And he picked up the coin, and Jack saw the little boy, and he tried to warn Ryan to put the coin inside the pond. But Ryan did not believe him and thought it was a trick, that he wanted to steal Ryan's coin. So he just left there. And then time flies as went by. Ryan started getting more and more nightmares, and he remembered what Jack said. And then he realized what he's been doing is selfish and started to believe it. He took out the coin and ran to the pond and put it inside the pond. Turns out the curse was true and Jack wasn't lying. He turned back to human form and they became best friends. The moral of the story of here is, do not be selfish and always be kind, because karma will always come to you. Yeah, that's all, and thank you.